Welcome to the Heroes of Fantasy Football Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? How are we doing this evening? We are the Heroes of Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Matt High, joined by Chris, and Rich is here too. Rich, let's start with you, boy. How are we doing after your Week 6, not 1, not 2, but 3 Monday Night Miracles that all took place to keep you victorious?
I'm feeling great, my man. I'm feeling real good, I'll tell you. I didn't see it coming. I really had some doubt, but needed not 1, not 2, but 3 miracles to happen, really, and I got all 3 somehow. So yeah, loving that. It came at the expense of course, you losing in 2 of those 3. I was versing against you in 1. One of those was a guillotine league that I just happened to score just a little bit higher than you did, and
I lost by 0.6.
yeah.
Knocked me out.
Yeah.
And my team was stacked.
Rough. Definitely rough. And in the other league, I beat our other podcast mate here, Joe, who had Breece Hall and needed 23 points to beat me, and Breece Hall had himself a day, but not enough. So I took the W's, and we carry on to next week. So I'm feeling great so far, still rocking and rolling, my man.
For those of you listening, my team in our redraft league has the 4th highest points scored in the league, but also the 2nd highest points scored against me, which is a wonderful, wonderful position to be in. Let me tell you, feels amazing. Everyone should try it. Chris, how are we doing?
Yeah, I'm having a good time. My week went about 5 for 10 this week, so fine. I did win my Vampire League, and I promised in the waiver show an update. I took Jamar Chase as my,
he's pretty good.
Snipe for the week. Yeah, just a little.
Last I checked, he's pretty good at football.
Yeah, I traded Brian Thomas Jr. for Jamar Chase, so upgrading slowly but surely. You're probably wondering who's my other choice. I actually had Jaden Reed on my roster. I chose to keep him over Brian Thomas Jr.
Smart choice.
Yeah,
he looks real good.
So I'm assembling the pieces. So come back next week for another vampire update. But yeah, that's about it there.
Perfect. So on tonight's episode, we're going to talk about the 2. Well, there's actually 3 trades. The 3rd one's not that crazy, but we're going to talk about the trades, what it means for the teams that are now being shaken up, as well as our usual regularly scheduled program of starts and sits of the week. So first thing, we had the trade that we expected for a while now. And so that is, we had Davante Adams being traded from the Las Vegas Raiders to the New York Jets. What do you guys think this does? Where do you view Davante Adams now? Because news reports came out that his hamstring looks good. It's pretty healed. It's funny how a trade does that for you.
It's nuts, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy. Who would have thought?
Man.
But moving forward for the rest of the season, let's start the conversation with him, and then we'll move to Garrett Wilson and the Jets as a whole. But where do you see Davante Adams finishing rest of season from now till the end of the season? Or is he top 12, top 8? What do you think? Reunited with Aaron Rodgers. So, Rich, let's start with you first.
I think it's a little bit too early to say something above a top, or I don't think he's going to finish inside the top 12 relatively, say, this week or maybe next week. I imagine a little bit of acclimation is going to have to happen, and with that, I know it's his old quarterback and all, but I don't know. We're talking years later down the road. So for me, I'm more hesitant. I don't exactly see it shaking out as something that's like super great for them per se. I think they're just maybe a slight bump up, but I still see them as pretty much the Jets as a whole. I mean, where they were previously, they had a stud wide receiver. So I don't know. I'm not too in on it just yet. I need to see more.
All right, Chris, what do you think this does to Garrett Wilson, who leads the NFL right now in targets? Is he relegated to a wide receiver 2 slot? You think he could still be like a, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans type where it's, 1A, 1B? What are you thinking on Garrett Wilson here?
Okay. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. No, I'm not gonna pretend like I know the answer. So here's what I'm going to say. Here's gonna be my hypothesis. Okay. I anticipate that the Jets will have the receiving order be Wilson 1, Adams 2, Lazard 3. I do not anticipate a shift for Garrett Wilson at all. My thought process behind this is Davante Adams is coming into 10 years into the league. He's 31 years old. He hasn't looked too great, even in the games that he played. I don't know if it's exactly going to mean that he's good or not at the moment. It's definitely too early to say, oh yeah, he's a top whatever receiver. Like if you had to ask me, oh hey, what is like this person? Where does he stand? I'll give you like top 15. No, honestly, I'll give you right below the top 15 right now. I think Garrett Wilson will be fine. I think Garrett Wilson is going to remain the one there. He will probably see a reduction in targets, but I think though, at least my hope is how this is supposed to work, because I believe Garrett Wilson is better than Davante Adams. Sorry for anyone coping out there who had Adams. You're coping. That's just how this is. I believe that you'll see less targets, but more production. There's another high octane target in this offense. That is the goal. That is my hope. Yeah, that's the theory.
Voila.
I'm gonna disagree a little bit there, just because
Well, you're
watching. That's fine. I could be wrong. Just watching the tape for Davante Adams, I haven't really seen anything that indicates he's really lost a step. I mean, you're talking last season was Aiden O'Connell and Jimmy Garoppolo. They just could not get him the ball. Now he goes to Aaron Rodgers, who, yes, he's an older quarterback coming off an ACL tear, Achilles tear, sorry. With other established weapons in this offense, like Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, but I just think that maybe not this week, just because they're gonna have to shake the rust off a little bit. They haven't played together in over about 2 years, 3 years almost. So you're talking about they're buddies. Like, watching them in Green Bay, they knew exactly what each other was thinking, and let's not pretend that this isn't Aaron Rodgers' team. He's going to call the shots. We kind of see that this season already. Salah's gone because they didn't jive together. Now we're talking, he brings his buddy in. It's the New York Packers right now. It's just, I think this is going to be maybe not a death sentence for Garrett Wilson, because I think he's too talented to have that happen to him. But at the same time, I mean, you can't say he's the number one target now. I don't think we can, because history and just the way Davante Adams is, he's going to demand the ball. He's not going to get a 3-target game and be okay with that. He's going to be yelling at Aaron Rodgers and the coaching staff to just get the ball in his hands. So I think Davante Adams, I don't think he's top 12, but I think he's going to finish in the top 15 rest of the season. And Garrett Wilson, unfortunately, I think he's going to be closer to a wide receiver 2 than what we were drafting him to be.
I just want to make a quick point here, right? So to kind of counter really, really fast.
That's fine. You can be wrong.
I promise you I'm not. It's okay. It's okay to have the wrong opinion. I still respect you. But no, I totally get the connection thing. I totally do. I viewed this Davante Adams move as a similar proponent to the Antonio Brown move to the Buccaneers when Tom Brady was there in a similar sense, where you would have never argued that Antonio Brown was the number one. He had weeks where he did really good, and he had other weeks where he was just fine, and that was the most part, right?
They
And it
also
was
had two well-established wide receivers at that
they
point.
did.
They have Garrett
Absolutely
Wilson,
did.
and that's it.
Yeah, well, Alan Lazard. He is ranked 8th, by the way, overall amongst wide receivers. I just want to make sure we're all aware.
Mirage.
No, in all seriousness, right? I understand that completely, but I why would the Jets? I understand that you're like, oh, Aaron Rodgers calling all the shots, yada yada yada. If Aaron Rodgers is calling all the shots and he wants the best chance of winning, why would you not bring it to the guy who looks athletically better and is also younger, and will be on the team longer? Like, I'm looking at this contract here. He's gonna be on contract until 2026. Or sorry, after the 2026 season, right? He's in this might be his last contract, or at least last big one, right? Not going to get anything else like that ever again, more than likely. Right? He'll probably finish out his career playing with Aaron Rodgers. Why would you waste and let Garrett Wilson wither away to the abyss? Like, this isn't like Tyreek Hill joining the Dolphins with Jalen Waddle there, right? This isn't
this is the Jets. It's Super Bowl or bust for the Jets. If they don't win a Super Bowl, it's not going to matter. They're only really focused on one thing, and that is getting players that Aaron Rodgers can throw the ball to, and that is Davante Adams. But either way,
which is what's really funny? It's really funny that the Jets are trying harder to do that than the Packers ever did.
Yeah, but look at how good the Packers are right now.
That is true.
They got away with another one. But
moving on.
Let's move on to. I want to know what your thoughts are on same division. We're gonna go with the Buffalo Bills, who traded for Amari Cooper, who has just been dealing with prayer balls every day, every week with Deshaun Watson throwing up lame ducks in the air. This obviously shifts things with the Buffalo Bills. Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid. How do you view them now that Amari Cooper's coming in? Is Amari Cooper immediately the number one wide receiver? That's the way I lean. And he's going to be more explosive and demand a large target share. Khalil Shakir was a previous leader on the Bills in targets. Keon Coleman was just, they were using him, I think, in the wrong way. Are they going to start throwing more, or is this still going to be a run-heavy offense? What do you think, Chris?
My thoughts here. Definitely Amari Cooper 1. I think they'll start throwing the ball more. I have a weird feeling that Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman are going to have this competition for the two. I don't know who's going to win that competition, but there will be a competition. They're going to utilize him the same. I think Dalton Kincaid has kind of solidified himself in that offense enough. He'll be fine for the time. I don't know where he's going to fall in terms of target share, but he'll be fine. I think they'll do less running. They'll start more passing. Rich, what do you think?
Honestly, I mean, for me, it's I don't necessarily think that they're going to pass more, but I do think they're going. I mean, yes, they're going to pass a little bit more. I do think so, just because they have the better options available to them in Amari Cooper, right? So that's something that's going to add an extra element to their offense. But nonetheless, do I think they're going to pass overall more? No, they have been kind of leaning more towards the run ever since Joe Brady has stepped into position there. So for me, I think what you're going to see more is just a shakeout of Amari is going to step into the what is that quote unquote wide receiver 1 role where he has done that before. But I don't necessarily know if I want to say that's going to equivalent to him just being a slam dunk every week. I think this helps kind of shake up and gives a little less pressure on their new rookie Keon, allowing him to kind of not be so heavily guarded and kind of allowing for him to acclimate himself there. And with that, I think Khalil shifts more into a slot role. He is kind of shifty in that regard, so I can kind of see just that being the wide receiver 1, 2, and 3 mix, and then obviously with Dalton there, yeah, it's all good weapons for Josh Allen. I think his floor overall is raised with Amari coming in, so yeah, overall, it's how I view it.
Looking at the Bills' offense this year, they rank dead last in plays per game. So they're running a lot, and it's just not a fast-paced offense. So that seems to be the biggest thing that's holding them back. And I think the Amari Cooper coming into this team, I think is going to help that. Looking at last season, they were actually fourth in the NFL in plays per game with just over 66 plays per game. This year, it's all the way down to 56. So that's a lot less. Right now, the Giants actually lead the NFL in plays per game, which is crazy to me. But hey, we're number one at something. But either way, I think it's going to make it obviously better. It might make the wide receivers in Buffalo a little bit harder to predict from a week-to-week basis. It could be a situation where it's kind of like the Packers, where they're spreading the ball around a little bit more, and if one or two are going to get the touchdowns, the other one's going to be kind of nothing. But either way, I think it's good for the Bills' offense as a whole. Last trade here, and then we'll get to our other stuff, is we had Cam Akers get sent back to the Minnesota Vikings. To me, this speaks a lot about Aaron Jones, his potential availability this week and beyond. Is that kind of what you guys think, or is this where they just needed depth? Is he going to be just on roster for, in case? Or is this a negative for Ty Chandler? What do you think, Rich?
It's I think a little bit of all that. It's a concern about Aaron Jones, as we've seen he didn't practice today. It seems he's dealing with something there. So I think it's a mix of that. Cam Akers was on the team last season. There is a familiarity there as far as him knowing the playbook. So depth being definitely a part of it, and just overall. So I think it's a smart move for the Vikings. Kind of a little bit silly also because they did have him. They could have just signed him. But of course, with them getting Aaron Jones, I think they felt like they didn't need him. But yeah, and also, Houston didn't exactly need 4 running backs either. So good move for Texans, I think, as well. So that's really what it is.
Chris, you agree? Disagree?
No, yeah, completely agree. I think this is less on Aaron Jones and more on they realized that they really had nobody else back there to help, like Aaron Jones if he went down. They had everything in the wide receiver. They have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Jalen Naylor can also make a play or two every now and then. So they needed to bolster that position. I completely agree.
And Hawkinson's coming back soon too. So
true.
They're getting healthy at the right time. And
I don't think this speaks to Aaron Jones at all. More of everything else behind.
Okay. All right. So those are the 3 trades that we had to talk about. Not much else moved. As far as news, Chris Olave has been ruled out for the game Thursday Night Football. Rashid Shaheed is getting surgery. It's going to be a rough Thursday night game.
Who will?
Does that mean he's out too? Or is he getting surgery like in the game?
I would assume he's going to be out, but I've seen some crazy things happen, so I would not rule it out.
Who will Derek Carr throw to? And why is it Alvin Kamara again?
No one, because Derek Carr is going to be out this week too.
It's Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, we
You're
got the
right,
rattlesnake.
it is Rattler.
Yeah, we got the rattlesnake
Who
here.
will Rattler throw to?
Kamara. All right. So
Bob means. All right. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's do this. We're gonna do starts of the week. All right, Chris. Who is the quarterback start of the week?
I got the one, the only, Kirko Chains.
Kirko Chains.
So, Kirko Chains going up against Seattle. I don't have too much to really go over. He didn't have a fantastic week against Carolina last week, but
Yeah, my bad.
granted, there was a lot of on the ground performance between Bijan and Tyler Algier. I don't anticipate that happening again. The defense is significantly better than the Panthers, although most defenses are. I anticipate this to be a high-scoring affair. Gino will sling it to DK, and Kirk will have to respond. So that's pretty much about it. It's mostly just going to be a back-and-forth contest. That's kind of what I'm going for. Really basic, sweet and simple, but I think that's what most people want nowadays.
Is Kyle Pitts going to be involved? Can you tell me that? Use the crystal ball.
I go into my crystal ball. I view the future.
And slam it on the ground because it means nothing.
I see 3 passing touchdowns for Tyler Algier.
Could you imagine?
Listen, I don't know if he's going to be involved, but let's hope for all of those Pitts managers out there.
It's okay. Neither the Falcons don't know if he's going to be involved yet either, so it's all right. So, Rich, who's your quarterback start of the week?
So my quarterback start is Baker Mayfield playing against Baltimore this week. Really, at this point, it feels like low-hanging fruit to pick Baker just because of how great he has been this year. The guy's playing some really good football and has been inside the top 7 in fantasy finishes already 5 out of 6 games this season. So he's been lighting it up. You know, there's only 1 week where he was on, I believe, QB 20 something on the lower 20s, but it was against Minnesota. So we're gonna scratch that one out. Other than that,
I thought that was a Broncos game actually.
Was it? I forget.
Because they got smacked by the Broncos.
Oh, okay, you're right. That's true. Anyway, so I mean, you know, overall Baker's been playing lights out, and we love it. This week, you know, it gets a great matchup. I think I mentioned this last week, talking about Baltimore, but overall, it's great for quarterbacks as far as in the passing game against them. They'll be getting torched. So all season long, we've seen them just kind of getting ripped on. They're giving up great points. Giving up second most points to the quarterback position. 4 out of the 6 quarterbacks that have played against them have put up their best performances of the season so far. So really, I don't see how, with the prolific receivers that he has, and you know those pass catching backs as well, I think Baker's going to have a great day.
Agreed, 100%. My quarterback start of the week is actually going to be going against Mr. Coco Chains. It's going to be Geno Smith going up against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but Geno currently leads the entire NFL in passing yards and pass attempts. But he's also bottom 13 in passing touchdowns and bottom 15 in yards per attempt. Those 2 numbers should not jive as far away as that is. So, outside of that big blow-up game against the Lions, it just hasn't felt right with Geno. But last week, he had an almost touchdown with DK Metcalf, but he couldn't get his toe in bounds. Then another deep touchdown that got called back on some stupid illegal formation penalty that had no involvement on the play whatsoever. I digress. And he also had a big play that was broken up at the last second. Another DK Metcalf, like 40-plus yard catch that just got broken up. Good defensive play. This week he goes up against the Falcons, who they've been having trouble getting to the quarterback and averaging under 1 sack a game. And the one thing we know, and we've been saying it all offseason, is when Geno Smith has time, he's able to make big plays with his talented wide receiver room. You know, I expect this to be a pretty high-scoring game because both defenses aren't really that good, and I just want pieces in this game this week, and I think Geno is going to have a baller day.
Yeah, I can see it. I can definitely see it.
Let's go JSN. Let's go DK.
With that being said, I'm going to hop right in to the running backs. For my start of the week at running back, I got Tank Bigsby. This is a very... can't think of the word. I keep saying
awesome.
Highly volatile. Awesome, highly volatile. You get what I'm trying to say here. So going
terrifying.
New England defense, not the greatest against the run. I anticipate that they are going to try and run a decent amount of Tank Bigsby. I will also say this. I will not give a touchdown guarantee, But I will say that if Tank Bigsby rushes over for 100 yards this game, probably sometime next week, expect a Travis Etienne trade. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. This is, I think the Jaguars are more than likely looking probably towards the future. ATM probably can fetch something. If Amari Cooper leads the leagues in drops and got traded for a third, they can probably find something comparable to that to a team that definitely needs like a good running back there. There are plenty of teams that I can think of that could probably use Travis Etienne. So it's something that I would consider they would probably are going to look and see, okay, is Tank our future? Is he going to be our guy for the foreseeable position there? So yeah, Tank Bigsby.
I love this pick, not just because I've been told by all of us in our Dynasty League that I am the Tanks Bigsby guy, but he looks good. He looks very good. And as we said on the waiver show, he leads running backs in yards per carry. So the Patriots also give up almost 23 points to the opposing running backs, and it's him and Dearness Johnston this week. So I'm going to put my money on Tank Bigsby. I know he's your start of the week. I'm putting the touchdown guarantee on him.
Did I just get usurped?
I'm just putting it. You
Oh
forgot to mention it, so I'm just adding it for you. That's all. Helping you out. That's all.
I'm sorry. Please. Someone else go.
All right, Rich, who you got?
All right, so my guy this week for running back will be Brian Robinson Jr. going against Carolina. Last week ruled out with a knee injury, but I think this week he gets back to it. It's a plus matchup. He was used heavily at the goal line. We do know he's been a touchdown machine throughout the beginning of the season so far. They have had success with that. I think they go right back to it. Carolina is giving up the most fantasy points to the running back position, so we love that as well. I think it's going to be a good day for Brian Robinson Jr.
Nice. All right, I'm going to go with my running back start of the week. It's going to be Chuba Hubbard going against the Washington Commanders. Jonathan Brooks, we got news that they're opening his practice window, the 21-day practice window, off of the PUP. So he's still on the shelf waiting for his NFL debut. You really can't go wrong with Chuba this week. He has eclipsed 15 fantasy points in 3 out of his last 4 games and has had 4 or more targets in 5 out of 6. The only game he didn't was the week 1 destruction and implosion on the Carolina Panthers. He's been a huge benefactor of Andy Dalton under center, and his efficiency metrics are very good. Currently 5th among all running backs at 5 yards per carry. His snap shares have been 65% plus in 3 straight games, and is currently the RB7 in fantasy this season. This could be a high-scoring game, and I think I can see him hitting pay dirt on a couple more opportunities this week. So Chuba Hubbard, let the good times roll and just keep going.
What a surprise! Chuba Hubbard this season, kind of crazy. Would not have expected it at all.
After week 1, it seemed like the Panthers were just dead in the water. Like, it was Andy Dalton came out and he's like, "Nope, we're good. Let's go."
Yeah.
Moving on to wide receiver portion, I'll kick us off with Christian Watson. Nothing too crazy. What's with that face, Matt?
I was just yawning. I'm good.
Oh, you were yawning. Okay,
We're
I looked
good.
over and I thought you were surprised. Sorry. So, my thought process here is simple. Another high-scoring game. Houston, C.J. Stroud slinging it to whoever's open. Fantastic receiving core. On the other side, still also fantastic, but better defense on the Green Bay side. So I'm anticipating that one, they'll probably win. That's going to be my guess here. But more importantly, they're going to want to pummel them into the ground as much as possible. I'm putting the touchdown guarantee on Christian Watson. I think it's probably the only way he's going to be viable, in my personal opinion. And I believe. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. I had like a word in my head. I'm losing my train of thought. My apologies. Yeah, touchdown guarantee Christian Watson. I think he'll do just fine this week. I don't think he'll see a lot of targets, but I think he'll see enough high yardage to compensate for that.
I like it.
Watson. You're not scared of Jaden Reed being there?
Well, like I said, I don't. Yeah, he's definitely gonna. Jaden Reed's gonna get more targets, but I believe that Christian Watson will get enough of the kind of deep balls. He'll probably get a touchdown there that it'll be comparable for a decent week at the very least.
He believes.
I believe.
You gotta believe.
You gotta believe. I love that. I'll roll it in then with mine. And this one, I really actually love this week. I've chosen a player that I think is just we haven't discussed. There's not really has been much to discuss. This was a player that I think was just a wait and see. And this week, I'm going with Pop Douglas, Demario Douglas, Patriots wide receiver, playing against Jacksonville this week. Last week, we finally got to see the rookie Drake May in action, and overall, I liked what I saw. He seemed collected in the pocket, was able to complete some nice throws, and with that, the performance overall, it was great. And I think with that, I also saw him target one receiver more than the others, that being Demario Douglas. He ended the day, Douglas did, with 9 targets and 6 catches, which was the same as all the other receivers combined on the day. So for me, the target share seemed to be going in his direction. I know that Butte did catch a touchdown as well, but overall, I think we're going to start to see this connection grow. And what better way to help let it grow than to play against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are giving up the most fantasy points to the quarterback position and the second most to wide receivers. This is a juicy matchup this week. And honestly, after this, we might be talking about Douglas a lot more.
I saw this one in the show doc, and I was like, it's bold, but I really like it. I think he's going to be really good this week. I mean, you said it. Jacksonville sucks at defending the ball. So it's going to be what a way to break in your rookie quarterback against a juicy matchup in London. Just remember, everyone, 9:30 Eastern, London game. Make sure you start your guys and make arrangements. But yeah, I like it. My guy here is going to be a repeat guy from a few weeks ago. It's going to be T. Higgins going against the Cleveland Browns. You know, despite being part of that absolute snooze fest on Sunday Night Football against the Giants, the Bengals have been decent at moving the ball down the field. And a lot of that has to be contributed to the return of T. Higgins. Jamar Chase is still the number one and always will be, but having a solid wide receiver 2 in the offense is nothing to shy away from. As far as wide receivers go, Higgins might have one of the safest floors in fantasy right now since he's been on the field. He's tied not for 9th in targets to wide receivers through the past 4 weeks, and the Browns have just been down bad against wide receivers this season, allowing the 7th most fantasy points per game. The Bengals defense is just bad enough that even Deshaun Watson might be able to move the ball a little bit, keep this game, from being an absolute blowout in the first half, and where they sit their starters and just run the clock out. So I think that's going to continue with the targets to T. Higgins, and I think he's going to make the best of them. So I really like T. Higgins this week, and I think he's going to have a blow-up game.
Okay. Bold, but I like it. But we all know Joe's take, at the very least.
Remember, he said T. Higgins is good at football. We have that clipped. So
True, we do have that clipped.
sorry, can't be here, Joe.
I'm going to bring us into the abyss of the tight end position. My guy, David Njoku. Amari Cooper's gone. Amari Cooper's gone. More targets to Njoku. He had 7 last week. I'm hoping same this week or maybe more. I don't have much to say about this. I honestly struggled to find one every week that's different because that's how bad this position is. So yeah, this makes the most sense because Amari Cooper's gone. So David Njoku, start in your lineups. He'll probably give you like 6 points.
10 targets, 6 points. Yeah, that sounds like a Deshaun Watson stat line. All right, Rich, who you got?
All right. So my guy this week it's gonna be Dalton Schultz going against Green Bay. I think this week. Excuse me. I think this week is the week that we can actually put Schultz into our lineups. He has been doing little to nothing. I know it's not a player that you really like to put in your lineup, and I know you've been trying to avoid it. As I've been doing the same, he's had multiple finishes outside the top 20. So this week, I think it's going to shine a little bit differently. I think we're going to start to. I think it breaks his way really this week. The Green Bay defense is the main reason for that. It's something that I see Jair Alexander and Xavier McKinney kind of taking out the studs that is the wide receiver core on the Green Bay offense. And with that, I think this will open up opportunity for Dalton Schultz to catch the ball, or at least have the targets to do so. And with that, I mean, it's also great that we've seen him get more integrated. In the beginning, it was a little bit weak, only 3 targets through the first 2 weeks. Built it up to 5 as we got through the next 2 after that, and now we're up to 8 targets last week. So he is slowly increasing his the opportunities there. So overall, I like that. I think that there is a expose in the defense there for the tight end position. Seems that they're giving up a good amount of points on the year for them, third most actually. So I think Schultz would have a good day.
I like it. I'm going to roll in here with my tight end start of the week. It's going to be Zach Ertz going up against the Carolina Panthers. Once again, targets, targets, targets. That's what you're going to look for at tight end. That's the only thing we can do to try to make sense of this position. If you don't have Brock Bowers or Travis Kelce, you just need to chase those targets. Hair in my mouth. The Ertz has 4 or more targets in 5 out of 6 games this season. He is a steady receiving option for Jaden Daniels, who looks amazing, and he gets the Carolina Panthers defense on deck, which is the 4th best matchup for opposing tight ends this season. Don't think too hard on this. Just put him in. He's going to get the work. Might not be super pretty. Might not have a ceiling. But just remember, everyone in your league is having the same issue as you. So just getting some consistent points should be enough to not lose you the week. And I think Zach Ertz has a little bit more ceiling this week. I think he finds the end zone this week with this matchup. So let us dive right into our sits of the week. We were positive. Now let's get negative. All right, Chris, who we sitting?
It's your favorite boy. I'm sorry. Sitting Anthony Richardson. Yeah. I won't dwell on this too much. I did that I think last episode or the episode prior. But I'm sitting Anthony Richardson, and unfortunately, in extension, probably the receiving core on the Colts there. It's a little too risky. I'm going to be honest. At this point, after the kind of fallout of Anthony Richardson earlier on in the season, my assumption is that many, including myself, because I had Michael Pittman in a decent amount of leagues, you picked up some replacements to kind of bolster your lineup. I'm hoping you still have those, because you're going to probably need them. Okay? Slot them in. Wait, you need to wait to see how this goes. Trust too much. I don't think definitely not completely written out yet of fantasy relevance, but I need to see some results before I can trust. With that being said, if Joe Flacco comes back, you are free to do what you please with the entire Colts offense. But until then, I would sit him.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, if he needs reps to really start getting better as a passer, and that's been kind of the thing with him. I don't know what situation he's going to be in this week, but the pass catchers, you have to change what you're expecting with them with Anthony Richardson. He's not quite there yet as a passer. You're hoping for fantasy he does things with his legs, but going up against Miami, we'll see how that goes. They're not the worst matchup, but they're also not the best. So gotta wait and see. What about you, Rich?
Mine this week, the sit is the San Francisco running back room. For me, it just comes down to the question marks of, is Jordan Mason going to play? He was in the red non-contact jersey to start this week. I don't necessarily know if I like Isaac or have seen enough of the Isaac Guerrero experience to want to throw that into my lineup. And to top it off, Kansas City is just really good against the run. They're giving up the least amount of fantasy points to running backs this year so far. So overall, it just seems like a recipe for disaster. I could see Kyle Juszczyk being used more than any other back. So that's it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. When do you guys think we see Christian McCaffrey? And if he comes back, are we thinking he's going to be the same Christian McCaffrey now that Jordan Mason was able to do things? Or what do you think on that?
No, I definitely think that they kind of do a little more of a timeshare just because of the wear and tear on CMC, kind of like what's left in the tank, So just to save what they can for their quote unquote playoff run, right? I think what you're going to see more likely than not is a lot of Jordan Mason, and when they get in closer to scoring, then you'll see CMC kind of be plugged in just to finish those off.
Gotcha. All right, so my sit of the week is going to be George Pickens going up against the New York Jets this week. It was fun for about a week or two with Pickens so far, but sadly that time has to come to an end. He just hasn't been that involved in the offense. Now we have Russell Wilson starting under center, and maybe some people will think that that's a good thing, and it very well could be, because Justin Fields hasn't done much as a passer in this offense that looked really good for fantasy or anything. I'm just not willing to take the shot on him this week. He's gone up against the Jets. Sauce Gardner is going to be on him all game, so I would expect a very, very poor outing from him this week, unless one big play sneaks through a broken play or something. But it's just hard to bank on. So I don't see George Pickens being anything other than a wide receiver 3 flex play for me on this week. But I think that's going to do it for us. Those are our sits, our starts. Talk about some trades. So, as always, please follow along with the show on our X account at the Heroes FF. You can go on our YouTube, drop a comment below in the comment section with a question, and we can read it on one of our episodes. We're going to have more stuff coming out soon. We got waiver shows. We're going to start looking at some trade away targets. Really kind of look at getting people ready for your playoffs, because believe it or not, they're coming quick. So now is time to put in the work, so that way it makes your end of season a little bit easier. So we'll have more data to go through with as far as what matchups you want to target in your playoffs, and we'll go through that stuff. So, all right, well, good luck everyone in your week 7. We will catch you all on the next show. So long.
See ya.
Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the Heroes of Fantasy Football podcast. Follow us on Twitter at the Heroes FF.